people gravitate to comfort, right?
Yeah.
Like what's comfortable is easy,
Yeah.
right? But what's easy isn't going to get you the result you want, right? Like it's easy not to go to the gym. It's
Yeah.
easy not to read that book. It's easy not to take care of yourself. But you got to realize like, those things are going to compound. Like those things aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Whether it's weeks from now, months from now, years from now, like that shit is going to haunt you. It's going to come back and it's going to get you, right? So to be self-aware enough to take the time to be like, all right, man, like, what isn't working right now? What don't I like about myself? Or, that's not a bad thing. Like you want to have that self-love,
Yeah.
but you got to figure out like what's not fulfilling right now. What are my habits looking like that's not creating the person that I want to be? And there's a reason for it. So just like figure out where that structure lies and then reverse engineer the goals.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just struggle with that or they're afraid to do that, but it's so freeing.
Yeah, it is. Because like I said, I was being held back by these large cycles that I was in, but there was also microcycles I was in that were holding me back. That, you know, being addicted to sugar was a big one. Like I would go home and I'd eat clean all day, and then at night, like just completely come off the rails and be eating whatever. And the next day, I'd wake up groggy, moody, and I wouldn't want to eat. So I'd go all day without eating. It was just this vicious cycle of like fasting, but not fasting for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Fasting because I can't eat because I ate so much junk last night. And I knew that,
What are we talking about so much? Like what's like is it like we're talking about packs of donuts or what?
oh, like I remember me and my one buddy used to train and we'd go out and buy like 50 pack of Timbits and crush them after working out with like cream cheese icing. Like I'm
Wow.
talking dirty. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like I I tried to balance it by like just training like an animal. Yeah, it put tons of muscle on me, but at the end of the day, like my insides were not good. I know that contributed to getting colitis. Um, that was stress, and that's the thing. Like there's stresses from your life, and then there's internal stresses from what you put into your body, allergens, toxins, whatever. And I knew I was doing tons of that. Um, so a big thing was for me was identifying the things that I put into my body that really made me feel like shit. So sugar was a big one. And I think that goes for everybody. There's so much added sugar in our food
Mhm.
that if you can even just look at your diet and cut away your added sugars, you'll feel so much better.
Big time.
Sugar, alcohol, dairy, gluten, wheat, those are things that I don't really touch. Alcohol I occasionally have, maybe a couple times a year for, um, you know,
Special events or
special
yeah.
events and stuff like that. But I always refrain from eating sugar now because I feel like sugar does the same thing that alcohol did. It would bring me up, it would stimulate me and make me feel good, but then it would bring me down and make me feel really bad. And with colitis, you get very high levels of inflammation. So like I would feel pain in my joints and my fingers, my hands would feel swollen just after eating what
Yeah.
is normal food. So a big thing, like I said, that saved me was identifying all of these things that were holding me back from wanting to go forward and wanting to be this. Because when I got into fitness, I loved it and I was good at working out. I was strong. I could push myself really far. And the only things that held me back were the toxins that were being put into my body. So once I figured out what those were and I was mature enough to be like, yeah, you need to cut it out. Like, I don't know how many times I went back to alcohol thinking that I was going to be able to drink and still be this shining person for my business and for my clients. And it was probably 10 years of going back and forth on it that I finally was like, I don't need alcohol in my life. I can go out and be social without it.
Mhm.
Nights aren't going to be wild like they used to be, but that's not life anymore, right? I want my everyday life to be the life I want, not just Saturday, Sunday. I want my Monday to
But
Friday. I
that's the
want
sad
that.
thing that people sometimes drink on the weekends to escape the life that they're living.
Yeah.
They're so excited for Friday or Saturday night to get fucked up
Yeah.
because they're like, I want to create a life I'm excited about tonight.
Yeah.
It's like, why not just
I used to
rectify
be like
that and
that.
like create an exciting life day to day? So you don't have to look forward to that Friday night binge or Saturday night binge where it's only going to affect your next 5 days. Like why is that one day outweighing your 5 or 6? Why not just
Yeah. I
create an
always looked at it, it's
exciting
like
life?
people that drink Saturday night. It's like you have 2 days off a week. You're willing to feel like shit on one of them every week.
But it's
Like,
easy. It's easy to do that. It's easy to
yeah,
get that that quick win.
Yeah.
It's like, man, you get a lot more wins way more frequently if you just do the harder thing. But you're
I
asking
think
for discipline.
it takes some time for people, like, until it's cut out, they don't understand the difference too. Like,
No.
a lot of people were like, "Oh, why don't you just drink? Why don't you just drink?" I'm like, "Cause I'm the opposite end of the spectrum right now. If I drink, I'm gonna be set back huge." And I don't think that people realize the way that they feel until they actually cut that shit out.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Holy, like, I feel so good." Like, people do like dry January and stuff like that. And I watch them when they do it, they look completely different. All this retention, all this water, all this like bloating just goes away. And they feel better, they look better, they get like this glow to them. But I don't know why they don't continue down that path when they know they feel so good, but they're willing to give that up for a momentary feeling of like happiness from alcohol that is gonna bring you up, but it's gonna bring you back way lower than your baseline.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just like I appreciate my Sunday mornings so much more now. I get up, I go down to the water, I have coffee. It's my favorite morning of the week because I feel so good. And it's just like, that's kind of my reward at the end of the week. It's like every day I have to wake up with an alarm.
Yeah.
Sunday, I'm not going to wake up with an alarm and I'm not going to wake up with a hangover because I know that day is so important to the next week of my life. That weekends to me now are for recharging and for self growth, right? You should be entering the week with gusto, not
Yeah.
being a level down. And then you're building yourself up till Wednesday. And then Thursday, you're like,
You're like pushing
oh,
yourself till Friday.
yeah. And then Friday, you feel good again. And you're like, I'm just going to go get fucked up this weekend because I feel so good.
Yeah.
Then Monday comes around, you're like, never drink.
Yeah.
We've all done those cycles where like you you feel so good all week that you destroy yourself on the weekend. And I always tell people like you don't have to cut it out, but like bring it down a bit. Maybe go every other weekend. And then they start to see like, holy, like I could go more than this. Like I said, it's until people actually try cutting out things that they know are hurting them that they won't realize how much more they have.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to this one girl and we're talking about food and I'm like, don't you want to like eat to flourish and to feel better and like I understand that food tastes good. Like we were talking about McDonald's
Yeah.
and she's like, but I want to live. Like I'm like that. I'm like, but if you realize like McDonald's and candy, like that's not living. That's like being comfortable and complacent and thinking it's living because it's giving you this surge of like, oh man, this feels so good because you're addicted to the food.
Mhm.
So you eat it and you feel like, yeah, I'm living. This is life. Where it's like if you were to switch that with something that actually builds your cells and it builds your immunity and makes your body this super strong being that there's way more to life than the McDonald's drive through.